Well, it says setting up your meeting, so I'm not sure if we're live yet.
Oh, mine says we're live.
All right, we're live. Cool. Well, welcome to Inner Dialogue, the show that we do here on. Okay, I'm still sick a little bit, so we were going to record last week, but I had about a quarter of the voice that I have today, so still a little stuffy. So bear with me. But and the brain's a little foggy. So, well, we're going to talk about WrestleMania today. We're going to recap some stuff, talk about our thoughts about the show. Before we get to that, I'm hoping that I'm going to have a little device that I purchased. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the little handheld or game machine on Instagram that runs on Linux that has like 20,000 games on it and stuff like that. Hopefully, we're gonna have one of those to review here in a couple of weeks because I purchased one of those and I'm really excited about it. So, we talked about a little bit off the air. It's got a lot of. We brought up the Dreamcast. It's got the Dreamcast on there. That's in Cam's wheelhouses apparently. So, but are you playing
No,
anything new on your PS5?
no, just too much Gran Turismo 7. Just too much.
Yeah.
Doing the races online and yeah, it's
How
fun
are
though.
how is racing online? Is it pretty well balanced or?
It Once you get out of the lower tiers, it's a lot better because in the lower tiers, um, to put it nicely, people don't know what they're doing. Um, they don't understand that you need to leave room. They don't understand that this isn't Demolition Derby. They don't understand uh, when you should and shouldn't break. Like it's just like the freaking Wild West, man. So luckily, I was able to
They
get.
sound like my kind of people.
Luckily, I was able to fight through all of the nonsense. Um, And like once you can get past like the really bad people in a race, they'll take each other out and then you just kind of do your thing, you know?
Hmm.
Um but yeah, so there's driver rating and safety rating. And uh driver rating is, how well you place. Safety rating is how many accidents you do or do not cause. And so
Yeah.
uh I am in the highest safety rating possible right now, which means that most of the people I drive with now are either so like it's like DCBA and then S is like the super tier. So I'm safety rating S. So
Hmm.
everyone I race with is either S or A in safety rating, and then it's DCBA A plus S I think for driver rating, and I'm like on the upper echelon of C, getting to B. Um, so I'm finally racing with people that for the most part are not lunatics. Every once in a while, someone will just punch you off the side of the road for no reason, and that's frustrating. But other than that, it's now a much more enjoyable experience.
Good, good. Yeah, I had that experience even with the AI in the game where occasionally one of them would bump the back end of your car and you'd spin out. But I haven't played online yet, pretty much at all. So that's something that I have considered doing. But I'm really playing a lot of MLB The Show right now.
Mm,
So I took the Brewers to the World Series and won the World Series in 5 games. So
nice.
against the Yankees. Um, and right now I'm working through the road to the show. I have created myself in MLB The Show. You can scan your face using the companion app, and so it kind of looks like me. So that's kind of fun, but a
What
younger version of me.
which position does Mitch Craig play?
For some stupid reason, I decided I wanted to be a second baseman, and I
Nice.
probably should have went catcher. But now that I'm in there, I can't figure out how to change it if there's a way to change it.
I was gonna guess
But
catcher. I'm pretty impressed with
I
myself.
I played catcher in Little League,
Yeah, I gotcha.
so I probably should have just done that. But I'm not entirely sure how involved you are in the strategy of the game and stuff though. So
Only one
because
way to
I know
find
that
out.
in the majors you're basically the play caller or the pitch caller. So there's a lot of strategy that's involved in being a catcher. So, but perhaps I'll try that next time around or whatever. But currently, I have been drafted out of college. I'm playing for the Biloxi Shuckers right now. I'm
Yeah,
in
the
I'm in
what now?
I'm in the Brewers farm system.
Where did you play
So
college baseball?
um Tennessee as a volunteer.
Nice.
And oh, you start in high school. Like you're senior in high school playing for your high school team, and you're being scouted by colleges and major league systems as well. And I had the choice to go play for the Brewers. It go right directly to the Brewer Farm League, but my advisor kept telling me, no, you should go to college first. So decided, well, I don't feel like I'm that good right now, so I probably should go to college first. And it was a good choice. So I spent a few years in college, and it actually bumped me up from I think I was a seventh or eighth round pick coming out of high school to a fourth round pick coming out of college. So it did improve my position, and now I'm like leading the team in home runs, and I think I've got like a 547 batting average. Um,
Jeez.
yeah, I'm a killer. So I'm working my uh was it like player rating up
Hmm.
to get me to the point where I can move up to the Nashville Sounds and then up to the Milwaukee Brewer system or the Milwaukee Brewer main roster. So that's how the farm system works for its double A to triple A, which is the Nashville team of the
Hmm.
Sounds. And then you move up to the major leagues from there. So I'm still
Nice.
in double A ball, but we're working our way up. So I took a break from Assassin's Creed, but I have been enjoying that game. I just realizing how long and how plotting. I forgot how much patience you have to have with this game. So I'm just taking it a bite at a time and enjoying what I got.
Nice.
Um, but I've kind of taken a break from playing that this last week. So all right. Well, if you're up for it, we can get into our main topic for today. We're going to talk about the WrestleMania and our thoughts and feelings and everything about that. So we good to
Let's do
go?
it. Yep.
All right. WrestleMania 41, 2 night extravaganza. Actually, to be honest with you, it's probably what 4 or 5 days now. Um,
Wow.
but I mean, if you include SmackDown, you include the Hall of Fame, all the
NXT
stuff that
stand
they
and
do
deliver.
there. Yeah, was it Stand and Deliver this weekend too?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
there's
Saturday.
just so
Or
much.
it was Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, and then of course WrestleMania night one and night two, and then Raw last night. So we're recording on Tuesday. So you have not seen Raw, but you've been spoiled on a few things.
I know the big strokes, but I haven't watched it yet. I'm a day behind.
Yeah. So um I didn't think for Raw after WrestleMania that there was a whole lot going on. There's a few things of note, but um there's nothing that really got me super excited. I I had one match that I was really hoping would turn out different than it did, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. So, but do we want to go through the card or how do we want to do this? Just
Yeah,
talk about
let's just go through the card. That's probably the easiest.
okay. Now I have some results in front of me, so I can kind of go by that. They started the whole weekend off with Jey Uso versus Gunther for the
Hmm.
heavyweight championship.
World Heavyweight Championship.
I thought this could have been the main event of Tuesday night. You know, it was a good match, and it would have kind of been nice to see Jey Uso go out on a high instead of the way it ended. So, but
What do you mean?
well, the way night two ended with John Cena winning
Oh yeah,
the
stupid,
belt.
stupid
Yeah,
John Cena.
yeah. Well, we'll get to that, but I think that would have been a more fun way to end night two.
Yeah, but
But
that
but
was never
it
going to
wasn't that
happen.
marquee of a match. So yeah, it wasn't as much of a draw.
Yeah, there's no way WrestleMania doesn't end with Rhodes and Cena. Like, there's just no way they're going to
Right.
do it any other way.
Hmm.
But yeah, so Jay Uso versus Gunther opening first match of WrestleMania. I thought it was a really fun match. I thought they did a really good job. The crowd was absolutely losing their minds for Jey Uso the entire time,
Hmm.
um, which is wild to see him get that over. And he's been that way for a while now.
Right.
What I find interesting about a lot of this is that, Gunther's been a champion for like what, like 85% of his time in WWE. He was like 800 and some days as the NXT UK champion, 666 days as the Intercontinental champion, 259 days I think is the world. Like the man just, but
Hmm.
he loses at WrestleMania. His Intercontinental championship he lost to Sami Zayn last year. Now he loses. So like he's always putting over the baby faces at WrestleMania. It seems, at least two
Yeah.
years in a row. And I don't know what's next for him. Right? Like he went from NXT UK to Intercontinental to World. Like, is he gonna battle John Cena and just do heel versus
So,
heel? Because I think Randy Orton's up next, right? Which makes sense because Randy's 14-time world champ. He wants to
mhm.
get to 18, right?
Well, did you hear about those elements of Raw last night?
I heard that he RKO'd Cena, but
Yeah. So Cena came out and did a promo, um, in heel Cena style, which
Mhm.
I'm not sold on this heel Cena. Uh, he's I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. But but as he's finishing up, um, how does he put it? John Cena says, "I'm going to give you guys all a gift," and he poses and he's like, "Everybody can take a picture of the last great champion." And as he's doing that, Randy Orton pops up behind him,
Oh, too
and
funny.
yep. And so Cena turns around and eats an RKO, and that's
Nice.
kind of how this segment ends. But it was actually pretty funny. As far as Gunther's involved, he actually ended up attacking Michael Cole and Pat McAfee at the announce table. Pat McAfee ended up Gunther put him in a sleeper hold and
Hmm.
held it for quite a while, and they ended up like walking him out and taking him to medical. Um, Michael Cole ended up being the trooper that he was, went back to the announce table, and they threw Joe Tessitore in there with them, and they called the rest of the matches all night. But of course, there's this air now because Michael Cole said it a few times. If I'm not protected out at the table, and we can't just say whatever we want to say, this my job is worthless. Or he
Hmm.
kind of made the point to oh, I can't remember what his name is, the GM of Raw, and his
Oh,
name
Adam
is
Pierce.
escaping me. Adam Pierce, thank you. Um, he made the case to him, and then he was making the case again when he was out on commentary, and so that'll be a storyline going forward, I'm sure. So, um,
That's an
but
odd decision. Okay.
yeah, I mean, well, apparently there was something said, and I don't really recall, because they say a lot of stuff at the on
Yeah.
commentary, but something ticked off Gunther. And so Gunther came to the table, like we just came out of commercial break, and Gunther was at the table yelling at him.
Oh, nice.
There was no lead up to it. It was just right out of the commercial break. He's there yelling at which, by the way, if you're on Netflix, why are we doing commercials?
Money.
You know, this
Money.
well, this would have been a perfect opportunity to like cut way back and tell more story and do something a little different, and they are just doing the same old TV model, which is kind of annoying. But
Yeah.
anyway, I understand money. But but he's standing there yelling at Michael Cole, and Michael Cole's like, just sitting there kind of defending himself, like, I'm an announcer, I can say what I want to say, I have opinions, all this. And Gunther just grabs him and pulls him out of the table and goes put him in a chokehold. Or no, he does something where he like he's trying to put him in the sleeper, and McAfee gets up and runs up behind him and starts hitting him and defending Michael Cole, and then of course McAfee takes the brunt of it um,
Hmm.
when Gunther gets a hold of him. So
So he's a sore loser. All right, duly noted. But hey, Jay Uso's now the world heavyweight champ, which is
mhm.
I'm interested to see how long he keeps it and who his first, feud is going to be with.
It'll be interesting to see how they play him winning the title, because I kind of feel like when he was a intercontinental champion, it kind of fell flat for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting because he already made the point last night that he's going to be a workhorse champion, that he's going to be there every week, um, defending the championship and all this stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that out.
Yeah,
But
and I again, I didn't watch Raw last night, but if Punk is gonna not be around for a little while, it would make, I think, the most sense for Seth Rollins to go after it because
yeah, I mean,
he's like the top heel now.
yeah, and they were making the point in their promo last night that he is the number one. Like they played off the whole like bloodline
Yeah.
number one thing,
Well,
and
and
it's
then
like
he
he's
hates
the
the
number one
bloodline
guy
too.
now.
So yeah.
Yeah. So
All right. But yeah, I thought it was a good match, good way to open the show.
mhm.
Started off on good feels. Next match was War Raiders versus the New Day. I cannot believe they made the War Raiders wear those stupid Clash of Clan outfits to the ring. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was pretty bad.
absolute clown
Hmm.
outfits. How are you supposed to take
Well,
him serious after that?
hmm.
They looked like absolute morons. And I like Eric and Ivar. I think they're really talented. I think the whole like Viking thing, like whatever. It's not for me. I don't care. But I think in the ring, they're a really good tag team. Uh, Ivar, the super huge dude, is way more agile and mobile than anyone his size has any business being.
Yep.
Um, they have really unique tandem offense. And I just and they were the champs and they had to wear those stupid. I was blown away by that.
Yeah, and quite honestly, they had moved away from that whole Viking thing, and they had rebranded a little bit as the gruff, tough, like
Yeah,
kind
denim
of biker
vest,
guys.
biker.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which I think was smart.
yeah, and it's a good look for them. I can get behind them when they're trying to play these like Viking characters. It's a little harder to get behind. But yeah, I kind of agree. It was a bad call. I'm not a huge fan of how they what they did with um Drew McIntyre either, with him wearing the
The
stuff
Doom
out
outfit.
for the
Yeah,
Doom outfit. Yeah, but
his at least looked a little bit better.
yeah, it was a little less hokey looking.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, Clash of Clans is cartoony, right? Like that's the thing. But
yeah.
anyways,
There
New
was a
Day.
lot of plastic in those outfits. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's just put it that way.
the New Day cheated to win, got the titles.
Hmm.
Surprise, surprise.
Yep.
Um, so this is not.
How do you feel about the heel New Day?
I think it's fun. Um, I think they needed to do something, and I think if they were gonna do the heel turn, they had to do what they did, which was be absolutely savage and uh, horrible to Big E. Like if they were gonna do
Hmm.
it, they had to go full on narcissistic ego. Huge egos, like of all, just like the crowd are the bad guys. We're not doing it, like like just the quintessential evil team that thinks they're the good guys and everyone else is crazy and wrong. And then
Hmm.
just to say what they said to Big E, just like holy crap, like they couldn't have gone like they couldn't have just tipped their toe in it. Like they had to go full deep end on the send, and they did. And the heat they're getting is incredible. I mean, like
Yeah.
when like the first couple times they came out, the first couple weeks, they couldn't even talk in the microphones because they were just getting booed out of the building,
Yep.
which is great. And I think
Um.
them cheating to get the titles is the absolute right choice because this means that the feud is just starting with the War Raiders, right? They're going to get
Mhm.
a rematch, and it plays completely into them being just terrible humans. So I think it made sense.
Yeah. And there was they had talked about this when the New Day first got together. There was a documentary or something. I can't remember where I saw this. That originally they were going to pair these three guys up, and it was going to be kind of a militant, like
Oh, like
um
the Nation of
African
Domination.
American group, that something like that. That it was going to be that kind of feel. And then somebody brought up the idea of bringing in kind of a religious, kind of like positive um, um, idea, or kind of brand them that way instead of more of the hard militant, almost what they're doing with the with Street Profits right now.
Mhm.
And arguably what they're doing with the New Day now too is kind of where they wanted to be. Although New Day's got all their baggage from, the power of positivity stuff, so they're bringing the unicorn stuff into it yet.
Yeah, well,
And
so when New Day started out, you had like their promo, like their vignettes and like the videos and
Mhm.
stuff. There was like a gospel choir in the background, but they started out
Right.
as heels.
Hmm.
They started out as heels, and then when eventually when they got called up to the main roster, at some point they turned babyface, and that was the unicorns and the bootios and whoo whoo all that
Yeah.
nonsense.
Which played
Uh,
really well, but it was played out, you
well, yeah,
know.
and I think that's why I'm surprised it took them as long as it did to do their turn heel turn, and I wonder if that's just they were holding out hope that he was going to be able to make it back. And I think
Hmm.
once they realized that wasn't going to happen, then they pulled the trigger. But it would have been interesting if they had pulled the trigger sooner, and then if Big E was able to come back, he would be the one that would turn them back to power, positivity, all that sort of stuff. But obviously, and who knows? Maybe that still happens. Maybe in 2 years he's fine, kind of like Edge, able to come back.
Hmm.
But you know, I'm trying not to get my hopes up. I love Big E; he's awesome, but he's probably done at this
Yeah.
point, which is a bummer.
Well, he's not done, but he's done wrestling.
Well, yeah, he's still
There's
around and he does the
still
commentary.
doing a lot of commentary and stuff. So
Yeah, I'd like to see him on the actual shows and not just the pre-shows. You know what I mean? I think he'd
yeah.
be I think he'd be good. Certainly better than Byron Saxton at doing like the interviews and that sort of stuff because he actually has
Hmm.
charisma and personality. Um, and I don't know if that's just how Byron Saxton is or that's the character he's been told he has to play. Like I don't know the guy in real life, but he comes
Hmm.
across as zero personality, you know, stiff as steel, just
Yeah.
anyways. Whereas obviously we know Big E can got huge personality, tons of
Right.
charisma.
Hmm. All right. Jade and Naomi.
Sorry, what?
Yeah. I fast forwarded through the ladies matches for the most part.
I fast
We
forwarded
we
through
got
this one because I just don't care.
yeah.
I don't care. I don't dislike either of these people. I think Naomi's a ton of fun. The glow and the just the vibes. And Jade Cargill is obviously made of granite. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, good lord, just what a physique on that woman! Like she I would not want to piss her off.
Yeah.
But the story, I just don't care. Like
Hmm.
she got hurt, and they tried the whole like, oh, it was Raquel and Liv, and really Naomi was. It's like, and then they did the whole thing where like her and Bianca are crying in the ring. How could you? And I was just like, I don't care. You you
Hmm.
took what 3 or 4 months to like we just ignored the fact that Jade was off TV for like 3 or 4 months, and then all of a sudden, fast forward to like the end of the story, Naomi did it, and I guess it was cool
Hmm.
that like Jade charged in at Elimination Chamber and just ragdolled Naomi. Like that part was cool, but like for the 3 or 4 months she was gone, there was just no story development.
Right.
No one was talking to Jade. She wasn't like, why was Bianca just not talking to Jade? Like it just didn't. The storyline didn't make sense to me, and so I don't care about the payoff match because I don't care about the storyline.
Right.
I think they dropped the ball with it big time. So
Jacob Fatu wins the United States title off of LA
yeah,
Knight.
yeah, yep. That's the correct decision. As much as I love
Yep.
LA Knight, he's always felt like a placeholder till the next guy.
Well, and he's got so much charisma that he doesn't need a belt on him
Exactly.
to get popped. So
Yeah. And Fatu's an absolute beast.
mhm.
Big fan. Like him a lot.
If you're going to put a belt on him, it was either this or the Intercontinental Championship.
Well,
So
and this was a well, he's on this brand, so he gets this mid card belt. You know
yep.
what I mean? If he was on SmackDown, it would have been or no, shoot. Who's the Intercontinental champ? Oh, it's Oh, we're gonna get to that later on. Yeah, it
Hmm.
was he's on SmackDown, so yeah, he gets the US belt. Good match. Love the fact that he like spammed the moonsault finisher at the end just to prove a point. Like, I could beat you with one, but I'm gonna hit you with three or four of these bad boys.
Yeah.
And the way he does it, just jumps from the middle rope, it
Yep.
just looks so good. And again, for a guy that's his size, he's very graceful in the
Yeah.
way that and he can be very sudden and violent, but the way that he does some of those, aerial moves is very graceful.
Hmm.
So yeah, this was of all of the matches on night one, this was the one where I was like 100% put all the money on Jacob Fatu. There's no way he loses
Yep.
this match.
Uh, El Grande Americano against Ray Phoenix.
I have
I thought his mask was coming off in this match.
Well, and the fact that it says American made on his mask, like
Yeah.
it's so over the top obvious that it's Chad Gable.
Hmm.
And even when he goes gracias instead of thank you.
Yeah.
it's
They're
I
not
mean,
trying to hide it. They're
but
so.
here's the rub, right?
Hmm.
They announced before WrestleMania that they acquire AAA, one of the
Hmm.
one of the two main lucha libre companies in Mexico. Elio de Vikingo is sitting front row for this match. Ray Phoenix debuts, a real life lucha libre guy,
Yep.
uh, and then he loses to Chad Gable in a luchador mask with an American flag. I'm just like, was this really the day to have either that announcement or that match? Like, those feel like they should not have been on the same day.
Well, it was nice to see. Was it Vikingo?
Hmm.
See him get out and I thought at that point now he's going to rip off Gable's mask and there's going to be like the big reveal. But it still didn't happen. So especially with the whole like putting the little piece of metal in his forehead,
I
and
forgot about that. Yeah.
yeah, you know, the idea would be take the mask off to expose that, but at the same time you're exposing it's Chad Gable, and that's the bigger story.
Well,
But
and then he's gonna be like, no, 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 that's not Chad Gable, that's Shorty G, and bring that character back. I cannot believe he had to do Shorty G. That was so dumb. Anyways, it was a good fun match. Glad to see Ray Phoenix. Bummer that if Rey Mysterio is actually hurt, that sucks.
yeah,
They're saying it's a groin injury. He had planned to work through it, but it was way worse than he originally thought, which is that doesn't sound great.
no,
So hopefully it's a work or he's able to heal quickly. But he's getting up there, man. He's got a lot of miles on his body, so we shall see. Up next was the WWE Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Again, I don't care. I dislike both of these wrestlers. Charlotte is I just I don't believe a single thing. She's incredibly
hmm,
talented in the ring. Like,
yeah,
for her generation of female wrestler, she is, I think, the pinnacle of in-ring ability. She's incredibly athletic. She's strong. She does high risk stuff. She's technical. Like, she can do everything.
hmm,
But her personality is just, oh my, I just don't want to hear her talk. And she
yeah,
leans hard into it because the crowd is super against her. So she leans into it even more, which I get it. She's trying to, drum up heat and really get reaction. But like, I just don't care. And then Tiffany Stratton just annoys the absolute heck out of me.
hmm,
The whole Tiffy time and just the whiny little, they're like they're two sides of the same coin for me. And it's a coin I
yep.
don't want to collect.
And it was a
So
perfect match for us to skip. So
exactly. So we skipped it.
that was a great one to go out and make dinner and do your thing, then come back after the match. Um, I honestly, there's a part of me that's almost a little concerned for Charlotte Flair because of the way she's changed physically over the years. Um, it's obvious that she's had a lot of work done.
Hmm.
Her lips were not that big before. Um, but she looks anorexic. and I do worry a little bit that there's something going on there because she doesn't look healthy. But
Yeah, well, I mean, she just went through a divorce, so who knows?
mhm,
Speaking as someone who's been through that stuff,
yep,
I lost 20 pounds in a month just because I was so ridden with anxiety that I just dropped 20 pounds. So I
yeah,
mean, it could just be her body's physical reaction to the anxiety and the anger and the sadness and all that sort of stuff, that happens emotionally when. But
yeah,
I don't want
that's
to
fair.
comment on. I'm just telling you what my experience was. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I just when I saw her come out and she removes her robe and she's ready to, and I'm like, that does not look like a healthy woman, but is what it is.
yep.
Moving right along, that brings us to the main event on Saturday nights. Seth
This
Rollins,
was so good.
CM Punk, Roman Reigns. It actually was a really, really good match.
Yeah, I
It told
loved
a
it.
great story. I, I almost wish it would have finished different, but I realized why they did it the way they did it. Um, but it was a very entertaining match.
Yeah, going into it, I was like, all right, here's their clever story. It's going to be that Heyman and Reigns were playing Punk the whole time. He's going to turn on Punk at some point during the match and help Roman win. And so when he low blows Punk, I was like, oh, I'm such a smart mark. I know. Oh, no, he low blowed Raymond too. I was like, ah, well, they got me. I thought I was so clever and I had figured out their
Hmm.
fun little story and they were just going to run Heyman and Reigns back. But no, I'm here on the internet eating crow. I was wrong. They played me.
Yeah. Yep. See, I
And
don't think that hard about a lot of those kinds of things. I will tell you, there's a couple of things I'm hoping to see happen that I was hoping to see happen either at WrestleMania or at the Raw after WrestleMania. But we'll get to those as we get to those matches. But uh, but yeah, that one I didn't really predict what was going to happen.
yeah, because I thought it was weird going into it when Rollins was like, chirping at Heyman, telling him, now you owe me a favor or whatever. And I was like, well, where are we going? And then I kind of forgot about that, you know,
Yeah.
while I was watching WrestleMania, because this was, the main event of night one. And so I'd kind of forgotten about all that. And then as soon as the second low blow came, and I was like, oh my God, Rollins and Heyman have been like this whole time. It's very so.
Hmm.
And again, I haven't seen Raw, so I know that at some point in the show, they're doing a promo and Braun Breaker joins the crew, but I don't know anything that Heyman said or anything that Rollins said, or so I don't know the details there. I wish I had, but I was visiting family this weekend, which is a good enough reason for me to be behind on 10 hours of wrestling. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
but I'm
that closed the show last night.
oh okay.
Um, their promo, and it ended up CM Punk came out, beat the crap out of Seth, and then turned on Heyman. Um, there wasn't a lot of physicality, I don't think, between Heyman and Punk. There was a little bit, but there wasn't a lot. It's not until Roman came out that he Superman punched Heyman and then set up for the spear. And I'm trying to remember if that's when Braun Breaker came in or what it was, but there was a point at which like I think that's when Braun Breaker came in and speared Roman. Um, but yeah, it was an interesting way to end the show because there wasn't much said. It was
Mm.
mostly, you know, Seth had some stuff to say, but the rest of it was just action. So
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. But yeah,
anyway,
so Seth wins the triple threat, which I think going into it, I think they did a good job of making it feel like that was the least likely outcome, at least in my
yeah.
estimation. Um, but I love Seth Rollins. I think he's awesome. So I mean, I
Hmm.
like all three of those guys a lot for very different reasons. So I don't think I would have been mad had it gone a different way. But I think this is definitely the one that's going to stir the pot for the coming months because of all of the shakeup, right? And Roman's going to, either have to be on his own or get back with the bloodline, and hopefully that's the mea culpa portion of the story that we've been waiting for 3 years, and maybe that never comes. I
Yeah.
don't know, but I think now that he's by himself, it it could give him the storyline reasons for some more character development. Um,
Yeah.
but
I
he,
would
I
love
mean,
to I would love to see a babyface bloodline. Think it wouldn't be quite what it was before, but it could be fun for a little while.
yeah, as long as they don't go like the route of babyface DX where they're just clowns the whole time. You know what I mean?
Right.
That wouldn't work. But I mean, they're already all of them are already over, right? And if you can figure
Mm.
out how to get uh Bloodline 2.0 and Bloodline 1.0 together into one group, you've got the World Heavyweight Champion, you've got the US Champion, you know what I mean? Any of those guys could pair up to be the tag champs. Like Roman could easily be in line for the the WWE Championship once Cena's done, or maybe he's the one that takes it off Cena. Like there's easily a path forward to them holding all the gold for a while
Yeah.
as like one last hurrah. You know what I mean? Bring Sami Zayn in, and maybe he's got the Intercontinental title, and Dominic doesn't. But we can talk about that match in a little bit. But anyways, yeah, I just think this is the most interesting because of the three guys, Seth is the one that's there every single week. This gets Heyman on TV every single week, which is a good thing, right? And the fact that they're bringing Brock in, or Braun, sorry, Braun Breaker, uh, he's
Still a
already Heyman. He doesn't need the Intercontinental title now because like he's part of the top heel group, right? So I think this what happened, him joining this group makes even more sense of what happened in the Intercontinental match at WrestleMania. He loses the
yeah.
belt. He doesn't get pinned. He still looks strong, and he can move on from the Intercontinental title with this. And it's just a really clean way to move him forward and let the Intercontinental title, be somewhere else. So I thought that was really smart. But anyways, we can talk about that match later. So yeah, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, great finish to the first night. Liked it a lot.
So I looked on the website that I was getting the card for the first night, and I didn't see the card for the second night, so I don't have them in order
I
as
have them.
far as do you? Okay, because I know
Yeah.
we
So
started out with a women's match.
yeah, it was Io, Rhea, and Bianca. It was a
Yep.
really good match. I watched this one because I like all three of these ladies. Rhea's an absolute monster. Bianca's incredibly athletic and also
Hmm.
very strong. And Io Sky is just a ton of fun. She's
Yep.
nuts in the best way possible.
Yeah, and
um,
I'm glad that they kept the belt on her.
Yeah, well, because going into
Yeah.
this, it was Rhea and Bianca were always just at each other, and they just kind of like, "Oh yeah, you go away, little girl." Like the women are talking, you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like to the point where at one point they're like contract signing or whatever, and Rhea literally just shoves Io out of the way so she can have a one-on-one with Bianca, and I was just like, "What are they doing?" Like, going into the match, I was like, "If Io Sky loses this match, I'm gonna be so pissed because she's been treated as like an afterthought this whole time."
Hmm.
Which now that she, on the other side of the match, she comes out the winner, makes sense because Bianca and Rhea were so obsessed with each other, they just thought they could beat Io, like, and so for them to treat her like that, and then for her to walk out still the champ, I think makes the most sense of the story. Because during it, I was like, why are they doing this to the champ? They're burying their own champ. But
Hmm.
it was to prove a point that Rhea and Bianca were too egotistical, too into themselves. And guess what? Io can go. She's a champ
Yeah.
for a reason. So yeah, I would have been really
Yeah.
mad if she lost this.
Io's got a good match on Raw. That um ends with some interference. And there's a great moment because Rhea comes out to save her. And there's a great moment right at the end before Rhea walks back to the backstage where she shows her appreciation to Io, and then she hands her the belt.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like some mutual respect between them, and then she just looks at him and says, "I'm coming for that," and she walks away and
Nice.
goes and walks backstage. So there's a really nice moment where like Rhea showed her respect for Io. So they kind of paid off that story.
Good. 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 But yeah, I mean, it was a fun match. Again, They open the show. You gotta have a good strong opener, and these ladies delivered. Which
Mhm.
I always expect these three, even if like they're going against someone that's super green. All three of these women can control a match, run a match, sell for the other. Like they're all pros.
Mhm.
And so I'm glad they got the spotlight to open the show. Um, but yeah, I got nothing bad to say about any of them. I think they're great. And then
What do you got for the next match?
after that, I think was the Sin City Street Fight between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre.
Hmm.
Which okay, whatever. It was a street fight. Like stairs were thrown, chairs were used. Drew took a selfie, but like I don't know. It just I think street fights are overdone, and they've been done so much that it's hard to do anything unique or overly interesting other than just beating the hell out of each other. And uh, I like Drew a lot. Damian, I'm kind of lukewarm about. I'm glad that he's gotten the run that he has, that he got the title, that he's getting to do wrestle like because he's old. He's been around for a long time, especially before
Hmm.
his NXT and WWE stuff. Um, he's good in the ring. I don't know. He's not he's not my favorite. I don't
He was
dislike
really
him. I
he
don't
was really
dislike
big
him.
in Puerto Rican wrestling. I actually worked with a guy years ago that worked in the Puerto Rican wrestling scene, and he knew Damian Priest.
Yeah, Punishment
So
Martinez was his name, I think. That was
yeah,
one of the
something
names
like
he went
that.
by.
Yeah.
Um, again, I don't dislike him. It's
Hmm.
just if I had to list like my top 10 favorite male wrestlers right now, he wouldn't make the top 10. And that's not again to say he's bad or I dislike him. There's just other people that I enjoy more.
Yeah.
And that's the one of the things about wrestling that I enjoy is everyone gets to have their own opinions and who they enjoy. And there's a huge section of the fans that love Damian Priest, and I'm
Hmm.
happy for him, and I'm happy for them. Um, so yeah, in my opinion, it was a street fight, and Drew won. Okay, great, let's move on.
Hmm.
I fast
So
forwarded through half of this because I was like, all right, seen this before.
I have two opinions about this match. First off, and this is not just this match, but this is any other spot that they broke one of the announce tables.
Mm-hmm.
Those new announce tables are garbage. Like you either they're all plastic and you can hear it when they break.
No, Wade
Um,
Barrett was slapping and going, "This is metal. This is
yeah,
metal."
no, you can hear it when they break that it's all plastic.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, like the way they look, they should just stop breaking announce tables, or put a table there that looks like can be broken. But this thing looks like it's like impervious and all this, and I understand why they're doing that. But I thought when they brought these new tables in with all of the electronics in them,
Mm-hmm.
with the screens in the front and all the lights, I'm like, okay, this is the end of the big table break. Well,
Nope.
apparently that's not the way we're playing this. My second thought is Las Vegas would have been the perfect place to do an actual street fight. Like
That's a good
literally
point.
put them somewhere on the strip
Oh, Mitch, yeah, that would have been awesome.
and let them at it. You know, I or have a dude, there were so many. I thought they would take the opportunity to like maybe put a ring in some other places in Las
Put him in,
Vegas.
yeah, like put him in a casino, right?
Yeah, or just really do something interesting. Like
Yeah.
what's I don't can't remember what the street name is that's all canopied in
Oh
Las
yeah, yeah.
Vegas. But you could have quartered off a section of that and put a ring up, and that's where you had your street fight. And I think it could have been a lot more interesting than what we ended up with.
Yeah,
But
those are great points. Yep.
yeah. Anyway, what was the next match then?
Shoot, what was next? I think it was the Intercontinental Championship Fatal Four Way. Braun Breaker, Dominic Mysterio, Penta, and Finn Balor. I
I'm
going
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the Finn Balor turn. They're they almost played it a little bit last night, and I thought we were going to get it last night, but Finn Balor turning on the Judgment Day.
Oh, that's been yeah. I
Yeah.
don't see I don't because when you said turn, I was like, he's not gonna turn babyface. Like he's gonna be even more heelish. Um,
Yeah.
because so going into this match, I was like, okay, here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna have a really fun four-way. Braun's obviously the freak. Penta and Finn can do anything in the ring. Dominic's gonna play his, sleazy little opportunistic,
Hmm.
heel, and uh, Finn and Dominic are gonna cost each other, and Braun's gonna win the championship, but we're gonna move on. Um, I did not see what happened
Yeah.
coming.
Dominic pinned Balor, didn't he?
Yeah.
If my memory serves. Yeah.
Which so Braun comes out of it looking strong. So does Penta because he doesn't get pinned. Uh, and Dom essentially turns babyface when he wins this. The crowd, I mean, you remember when
Yeah.
he couldn't talk on the microphone. He couldn't get
Hmm.
literal. The second it got close to his mouth, it was like 140 decibels of just
Yeah.
boo. I mean, it was incredible. And
They were
he,
singing Dirty Dom last night at on Raw.
I mean,
Like he
it's
so somehow he got
wild.
over. Yeah.
he he literally went from the most heat to winning the Intercontinental Championship, and the entire arena was losing their minds in a good way.
Yeah.
Like jumping up and down and like to the point where he was halfway up the ring and he sprinted back down, or sorry, halfway up the ramp, sprinted back down to the ramp, got back up on the turnbuckle, and the crowd was going nuts, like Jay
Yeah.
Uso levels of crazy. Um, I was blown away by that. Totally didn't see that coming. One, him winning, that he pinned Balor, which I think if anything, the rest of the Judgment Day turns babyface, and Finn just goes even more into the angry, I don't need you, I'm gonna, all that sort of stuff. Because I mean, Liv Morgan's over, right?
Yeah.
Carlito's goofy. Raquel Rodriguez is just kind of a wet blanket, but that's fine. You know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
and JD McDonough can play babyface when he comes back, and
Yeah.
he's going to get a huge
McDonough came
pop.
back last night.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Really? Did he get a big pop?
It was kind of in the service of the match, and
Okay, so
and
there
so yeah, there
wasn't
was a
really
bit
a
of a
moment.
pop.
Well, because I
Yeah.
mean, the man broke his freaking ribs and punctured his lung and finished a match. I
Yeah.
expect him to get the the respect that he deserves for doing that.
They,
Um,
the crowd was already going crazy when he came out. So if there was a pop for him, it was kind of lost in the all the
gotcha.
excitement. But I'll tell you that there immediately was a look on Finn's face. They showed him, and he was not joining the rest of the group celebrating.
Gotcha.
And then when they walked up the ramp, there was this awkward moment where Finn kind of comes up, and they go and hug him, and they like try to bring him in, and he's just kind of like, there's like this resistance, like there's something going on, like he's not too happy. So they're even pulling him further and further out of the Judgment Day already.
Gotcha.
So I was actually surprised that he didn't like attack Dom last night or something like that. But yeah, he's not. The rest of them are playing more face,
Mm-hmm.
where he's definitely not going face at this point.
Yeah.
I just want to see him break free because I want to see the Demon King come back.
Yes. Bring the
Because it's
demon
been so
back.
long since we've had the Demon King. So I
Yeah. I remember.
just
So.
I just love that out of nowhere. When I don't like it when they promo that he's the demon is coming back. When
Mhm.
you just all of a sudden the red lights come on and you're just like and just added, because they did that a bunch in NXT. And then
Yeah.
when he came to the main roster,
He only did it once or
they
twice, I think.
played it as part of the story. I think he did it a couple times, but the first time was at SummerSlam, and they played
Against.
that as they played it up prior to SummerSlam, that the Demon
Mhm.
King was coming back, and that he was gonna he was gonna dig deep into himself, and this other thing was gonna come, and it's just like it kind of fell flat on SummerSlam. What was genius about the way they did it in NXT is it just came out of nowhere,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden it's like, what is this? I remember the first time I saw it, and I'm like, holy crap, what is this? Like, how is he doing, like his stage entrance where he's
Mhm.
on all fours the whole entrance, and he's just kind of popping up over the fog, and it was something so cool and so unique,
Yeah.
you know. yeah, I'm looking forward to them bringing that back. But now with Triple H in charge, I think they might do it right. So
We'll see. um, okay, so there's the next three matches. I can't remember the order they're in. Um, but Randy Orton versus an unknown contestant, and I really didn't know who it was going to be. I thought
neither
maybe
did I.
I was like, well, because there's rumors that Rusev resigned. There's rumors that Aleister Black resigned. I don't think they're going to debut at Mania against Orton just to get squashed. You know, you
Yeah.
don't do that to a guy you're bringing back. They already brought, Ray Phoenix in. Like, I don't know if anyone else is coming back from injury. I was like, and then all of a sudden it just say his name and I was like, I like lost my mind. It's like, oh my God, freaking Joe Hendry. Of course it's him. Like, what a perfect choice.
Yep. You can squash them. You can play it. You can have some fun with it. It didn't need to be anything.
Well, and they did
So
have fun with it. Like,
yeah.
it, obviously the crowd went nuts. They were singing his song. They were waving their arms from
Mm.
side to side. And I love them showing Orton in the ring, just kind of being like, hmm, what,
Yeah.
what's like him just like, okay, all right. This, like it would, and I love Randy Orton now. Like he is so much
Hmm.
more fun and he seems to be enjoying himself so much in the last couple years.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just fun to see. And his ability, his willingness to interact with the crowd more and like acknowledging them now that they sing his song and
Hmm.
his willingness to work with younger guys, and that and really like show them respect when they can, like he came down. He wrestled at an NXT show in St. Louis against Javon Evans, who's one of the main guys in NXT, who's an absolute athletic freak. Dude's awesome. And the amount of respect he showed to Javon Evans after the match was like he didn't need to do that. Like
Yeah.
that just to me is like that's just Randy showing a young kid, hey, you got what it takes, which is just like super cool. So, anyways,
Hmm.
putting Hendry with him, letting them put on it was a short match,
Hmm.
but it was fun. It was good. They got in some spots. I thought the RKO that he hit out almost great. So good times, and Joe Hendry got to freaking wrestle WrestleMania as the TNA champ, which is just what a time to be alive.
Yeah. And Randy Orton did his gimmick at the end too, which
Yeah.
was
Oh,
pretty
that was
funny.
so funny. Yeah, see again, just another moment of Randy like showing some personality and having some fun, right? Like that was
Yeah.
that was great. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was
Uh
good.
and then okay, AJ Styles versus Logan Paul, just don't care. Don't care at all.
Yeah, when I went into that match, I was like, well, you know, there isn't a lot of advantage for AJ to win this. Um, there's all I really would have liked to seen AJ win it, but this was to tell the story of AJ's being the good guy now, and not cheating to win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's there's a story starting with him and Carrion, which will go somewhere, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff they're doing with Carrion Cross right now is just like creeping around behind the scenes. That's got to come out of the shadows at some point, and I think that this is the opportunity for AJ to challenge him to a match, get it out, get it out of the shadows and into the light, and deal with a lot of what he's been doing behind the scenes, trying to manipulate people.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, but that'll be good. I think Logan Paul, I mean, he takes the win. He gets more brash. I think it's hilarious that his song is this his entrance theme is humble because he's anything but.
Well, and
Um,
that's the yeah. I just
yeah,
here's here's my issue. The coolest part of the best part of this match, hands down, was the drone. So
yeah.
he's walking out, he's got and I'm like, why is he holding a camera? And then it flew out of his hand. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And then he went and got it during the match. Like, if the best part of your match is a camera gimmick, that's all that needs to be said, in my opinion. You know, um,
So here's the missed opportunity in this match. You have two incredibly gifted athletes that can do some crazy stuff.
mhm.
Where were the crazy spots? It just there just weren't. And I can understand that maybe AJ's getting older and maybe there's some stuff that he can't do that he used to be able to do. But these guys, like the biggest spot in the match was them trading styles clashes, and it's like,
Which is dropping your opponent 4 whole inches under their chest.
yeah, which
I've never
now,
understood that move as a finisher. It doesn't make any sense.
well, I think if I'm not mistaken, when he was in TNA, they were talking about banning it because he actually hurt a couple of guys doing that because he got the heads in a bad position
Well,
and
because
almost broke
so
somebody's neck.
well, do you remember James Ellsworth, that really creepy little guy he was with Carmella for a while?
I remember
He was like a
a little
jobber
bit.
that wound up getting a contract. He was like a local jobber, and he
Okay,
got like absolutely
I
destroyed by Braun Strowman. I mean, this is probably like 8 years ago.
yeah,
Anyways, there was one match where he was fighting AJ Styles, and for literally every bump you take in wrestling, you're supposed to tuck your chin so you can
yeah,
hit shoulders and arms. But the Styles Clash, you have to do the opposite and look,
yeah,
opposite. And so he was about to clash him, or Styles clash him, and AJ saw that his head was down and not up, and he kind of like twisted it a little bit so that and Ellsworth was like, yeah, no, he totally saved my career. I could have been done. He's like, it was my mistake. It's the only move
okay.
you don't look down
That's where
for.
I remember that from. Yeah,
Yeah, and
sorry.
Ellsworth was like, he absolutely saved me. Like that's how good
Hmm.
of that's how good AJ Styles is. Is he realized as I was going down that my head was wrong, and so he kind of like bailed out of it to save me, And I was like, all right, well, respect where it's due. He owned his,
Hmm.
and then it turns out that Ellsworth is a creep and uh, got fired for questionable personal choices.
Hmm.
Anyways, yeah, so that was a match that like I fast forwarded through some. I went and did other things. I just don't care. And then
I was paying attention for the spots because I thought there
oh
would be
well,
some really really cool spots, and there just wasn't.
wah wah. Well, and AJ isn't
Yeah,
AJ just back from an injury too, like recently in the last month,
I think
last
so.
month or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got women's tag team championship: Liv Morgan and Raquel Gonzalez versus Lyra Valkyria and TBD. Bailey got pulled from the show, which is a bummer. I'm a big Bailey fan. Have been since I started watching back in like 2017. Um, but she got hurt on
Yeah,
SmackDown.
may or may not be work. So
It's no, she's not hurt at all.
yeah.
It's a total work. And so the TBD, I was like, well, who are they gonna pull? Again, I'm doing the same thing I was doing when it was Randy Orton. Like I'm going through my head. No, Jade's already back. She's got her thing going with Naomi. Like, who's it gonna be? It's like, and before I could even like come up with a plausible idea, freaking Becky Lynch's music hits, and I was just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
because she
All of a
had
sudden it's
said
like,
like,
oh yeah,
but like
that's
there
the
was she
perfect
was
person to be with Lyra.
well, yeah, because they're both from Dublin, right?
Hmm.
Um, and but like they had done such a good job of making it seem like she was done, like she wasn't coming back. Like she signed a contract with WWE, but like there was no guarantee that she was ever going to wrestle again. She was at a live thing like 3 weeks ago, and it's like, well, I am done wrestling, so, and then just like kind of slid that in there. Um, so it didn't even cross my mind that it could be Becky. I was like, well, it's going to be maybe it's going to be like Roxanne Perez from NXT or something like that. Um, and then her music hits, and I'll just the roof gets blown off the place. Um, have a pretty good match. Every all four of those ladies can wrestle. Raquel Gonzalez is obviously she's the muscle in that match. She's 6 inches taller than all of them. Um, and Liv, I think, is finally starting to get the credit she deserves for all the work that she's put in to get to where she is at now versus where she was when she came up from NXT. Um, I thought it was a fun match. I thought they played to the strengths of the people in the match, and you know Becky shows up and gets a title, like she like she did when she came back at SummerSlam and squashed Bianca Belair. Um,
And then 24 hours later, she drops it.
yeah, who'd they lose to?
Actually, Lyra dropped it. It was a rematch. It was Liv and Raquel.
Oh, and they just lost.
Yeah, yeah. They just took the titles back. So
Did
but then
Lyra eat the pin?
yeah, yeah, Lyra lost the match, and that's why Becky flipped out and beat her up. So there'll probably be
Interesting.
a program with the two of them.
For the
So
Intercontinental title, yeah. Interesting. That's a weird way to get there, but
yeah.
I guess you get the shock value of Becky turning. But
So what it's going to be is she'll come out and explain it next week. Like, this is why I did it, you know. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
and then of course we have the last match of night 2, the undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, as
Yeah,
Santino would call him.
yeah,
Baptista, John Cena. Because he wears the chains, you know?
yeah.
Here he did. I love Santino. Anyways,
So,
what were your thoughts on this match?
well, my first initial thought was he has no graphics.
Oh, you just
Like,
the
he's
black
just
with the
like
white text? Yeah.
doesn't even care. You know, I'm surprised he even played his music.
That was literally going to be what I was about to say. I'm surprised he
Yeah,
still has the trumpets, you know.
yeah. I would have thought that if they weren't going to do any graphics, that he'd just walk out to silence.
Well, because
And
he's like saying like I'm gonna ruin wrestling and all this sort of stuff, and so
mhm,
like why? Of course he shouldn't have. He should just walk out in silence. Like
mhm.
if he's gonna ruin it, take away some of the spectacle, you know. So yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you on that.
So I thought the no graphics thing was an interesting choice. What do you put up if you're gonna put up graphics? Like, he's not a baby face anymore. So anything exciting or interesting looking would have been weird.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, I don't think it was a bad choice. And it was like the most basic font that they could have used too.
Yeah, and usually he holds the towel out in front of him, you know, and talks
Yep.
to the camera guy. This time he just put it like on the back of his head and just walked. Like it's like he's inverting everything.
He wore the belt backwards last night. He wore the belt in the back instead of in the front when he walked out to the ring.
Oh, he's
So
taking it so literally. I don't know if I
yeah,
like that.
I didn't like it. I thought that it was weird, but whatever.
I was kind of bummed they did the ref bump too. Like, come on.
Hmm. I thought Cody looked weak in the match. Like,
Yeah.
five move Cena wins the match. You
But he
know,
was more than 5 move Cena. He did like
yeah,
actual wrestle things.
yeah.
It's like,
There's a
where has
few.
this been my entire
Hmm.
life, John?
Hmm.
Like he
Well,
did
I know that
actual
over
wrestles.
I was waiting for the "You can't wrestle" chant, but it never happened. But that would have been great in that
See,
match. But
this is what bothers me the most about him now being the record holder
yeah,
is he literally was 5 move John his whole career. Like,
yeah,
what message does that send to guys that can actually like do all the things?
right.
You know what I mean? But I guess he was a product of his times too. Like
Mm,
when the guys that won the championships were guys that looked like him and Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton and Batista, like the big, just absolutely
okay,
jacked
let's be
guys.
honest. The way he used to look, because that dude, I don't know what happened to him, but he doesn't look
He's old.
that
He's in his
ripped now.
40s.
I know, but you see guys in their 40s that look more ripped than that. I don't
Well,
think he's kept up with his training, honestly.
well, I think he's probably trying to slim down a little bit for some Hollywood roles
Yeah,
because
and there's no spray tan either, so he could have
yeah,
used a little spray tan last night.
he's a pasty white guy, you know. So am I. It
Yeah.
happens. But yeah, so he's the winner. Shock of all shocks, he won.
Hmm.
But I agree with you. I
So
think Cody looks bad coming out of this. He's
that
still going to be
he didn't.
over. He's still going to be incredibly over with the fans, but it just, yeah.
I'm not sure how they play this going into SmackDown Friday night though, because he's got to walk in and he's got to show some strength, but the match itself just wasn't good for him. Like, it just didn't look good. So my thought is that either My initial reaction to Cena winning was, okay, we're going to have a program here leading to SummerSlam that is going to be Cena's last match, and that's where he drops the title. And I thought it would be Cody Rhodes at that point. Maybe Cody takes some time off, and they do a program with Randy Orton, and then Cody comes back for sometime between now and SummerSlam, and that's he takes the title back from Cena at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. I also don't know what I want them to do. Because
Yeah,
like Cody's, this is the first time since he's come back from AEW where he isn't chasing or holding. Right when he
yeah,
came back, it was all about finishing the story, and that took 2 whole years almost. Because the first at the he had that fight against Seth where he tore his pec, and then he didn't get the job done at the first WrestleMania. Then last year he finally gets it done, and it's a huge deal. And he's got this year long, you know, um, parade, I guess. But I mean, like he went through Brock Lesnar, like he beat Gunther at the Crown Jewel, like he's fought everyone he needs to fight, and so now the story's been finished. He's had the title for a year. Like, what are they going to do with him now? You know what I mean? He's clearly still one of the top baby faces as far as like merch and crowd reactions, but like they're going to actually finally have to have some solid creative stuff storyline wise for him because they've told the story. It's
hmm
done. Like they need to move on to something else. And I don't know what is going to be as compelling for him and for his fans than what just ended. That 2.5, 3 year long story arc.
okay.
It's gonna be
So
hard.
I kind of almost mean this half seriously, but what if they brought back Stardust? Okay, I know that on the face of it, it sounds like an awful idea, but here's my thought. Cody drops the belt at Mania, and he starts to go a little crazy, and the old Cody Rhodes starts coming back, and then there's like this kind of creative story where he's sometimes he's Cody, sometimes he goes back into the Stardust character. That there's just this battle with him. Like I don't know that they'd ever do it, but
So you're
it
talking
would
like go like full broken Matt, but Stardust.
kind
That's
of. Yeah.
well. So there's back before he left uh, to go to the Indies and then start AEW. He was Stardust, and he pitched, "I'll be Stardust on Raw. Let me be Cody Rhodes on SmackDown. I'll work double duty.
Uh-huh.
I'll do your Stardust thing. Let me try and get Cody Rhodes over on SmackDown." Or it was vice versa. But he was going to do one show as Stardust and one show as Cody Rhodes because he wanted to prove that he could get himself over as Cody Rhodes. And Vince
Yeah.
wouldn't let him do it. Vince was like, "No, you're Stardust. That's
Yeah.
it. End of story." And then he was
Yeah.
like, at some point after that, he was like, "All right, I'm out. See you later. Like, done. If you're not going to let
Yeah.
me be me, I'm gone." And it's worked out great for him. It was a huge risk. But I like people that bet on themselves. Like that's
hmm
just it's great. And so that's where I don't know. I don't know. Oh man, because be a broken Cody. Oh man. I don't know if he'd do that. I don't know if he would. And I think that could easily go bad
Yeah.
if like it could work. The sort of like Stardust kind of weirdo coming out of him at times and maybe even going full, but like you would have to thread that needle like
hmm
storyline wise so well, and he would have to act his butt off to do it in a convincing way. I just think there's a lot of variables that could go sideways in that story. Like I think of like the
Yeah.
Wyatt Six stuff. Like they came in as absolute like literal murderers,
hmm
and then they turned out to just be clowns, and then Bo Dallas gets hurt, and then they just take him off TV completely. They bring Alexa Bliss back for like a cup of coffee, and then she's taken off TV, and it's just like I think Broken Matt Hardy worked because Matt was in full control of that character.
Yeah.
And he's such a A goofball. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm obviously eager to see what they do with Cody. I just hope they don't. I hope this doesn't. This is not a momentum killer for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to obviously have to pivot and change and do something different. But like,
If they don't do something that's a reaction to his loss at WrestleMania, I think he takes some time off and he comes back fresh, because he does look really weak right now. As a returning talent, he doesn't look weak anymore.
mhm.
So I almost think that they have to give him, let him off for a month or two and bring him back for SummerSlam.
Yeah, and that could help sell the Cena win too.
Yeah.
You know, like what happened? What happened to your hero? Oh, that's right.
Mm.
I took him out. He's gone. He's not here. He went home to cry. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like really lean into him being a turd.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. We'll
That's
see.
I honestly think that's why they started the program with Randy last night, is that
And they're
I
doing it
think
on
they're
Raw,
giving
not
him time
SmackDown.
off.
You know.
Right. So I think they're giving him some time off. But
Yeah,
it
we'll see
would
if
it
he.
would be super interesting to see broken Cody Rhodes.
All right. Well, that was WrestleMania.
All right. Well, what's delighting you today, Cam? Oh, hold on. Got to hit the sounder. What's
There we
delighting
go.
you today, Cam?
Um, I'll go with soccer. Specifically, my favorite team is Arsenal in the English Premier League, and just about a week ago tomorrow, they finished their second. So the way that the Champions League, are you familiar with the Champions League, Mitch?
I don't know much about soccer.
Okay, so in Europe, each country obviously has their own, football association, and there's in English soccer there's tiers. So like first tier, second tier, third tier, and the bottom two or three teams in a league will get demoted to the league below them, and then the top two or three teams will get promoted to the league above them, yada yada. So, anyways, the UEFA Champions League is the United European Football Association, and so they get the best teams from every country in Europe, and they play an in-season tournament to crown the best club team in Europe, which generally turns out to be the best club team on the planet because that's where the best soccer is played is in Europe. Um, and so my team Arsenal, who play in the English Premier League in London, um, were in the quarterfinals. So the last 8 teams, and they were playing against Real Madrid, who are Madrid, so the Spanish league, and they have won more Champions League than any other club in the history of the competition. They did just owned Europe for a long time. Um, and we won the first leg 3-0 at home. And so you play a home game and an away game in the quarterfinals and semifinals, and the winner based on aggregate score wins the round. And so we were going into Madrid up 3-0, and everyone was like, "Yeah, but it's Madrid. They're gonna win." Yeah, but it's Madrid, and they're playing at home. Like no one was giving us a chance with a 3-goal lead to win the quarterfinal matchup. Like that's how much Madrid has brainwashed people. They've been so good for so long um, that even with the 3-goal deficit, the pundits were saying, yeah, they're still going to win. Even though Arsenal hadn't lost in 9 games, and even though Real Madrid hadn't had a clean sheet in 9 games, they were still giving Madrid. So what did we do? We went into Madrid and we won 2-0, or sorry, 2-1. So the end score was 5-1, and we won, and now we're in the semifinals. So to all those
Nice.
pundits who didn't think we could win the second leg at all, and who didn't think that we could protect a 3-goal lead, well, we won the game in Madrid, and we did more than protect the 3-goal lead. We increased it to 4. So I'm feeling pretty good over here, Mitch. Those pundits can suck it.
Almost hear a little of your Scottish coming out there.
Yeah. but now we're in the semifinals, and now we
Great.
have to play Paris Saint-Germain. But if we can beat Madrid, we can beat PSG. So my hopes are high. That starts. I think it's the semifinals start next week, a week from today, I believe. So I'm just excited about that because Arsenal's going to finish second in the Premier League again for like the second or third year in a row. Very frustrating. But hey, we're in it for the Champions League still, which is incredible. If we can win the Champions League, it will be incredible. An absolute incredible outcome if that were to happen. But we got to get through Paris first, so we'll see. What's delighting you?
Oh, we haven't talked about Notion in a while, but I am absolutely loving. I'm getting so deep into Notion. Um, so one of the things that
I
happened
had a
this last year,
notion you might talk about Notion.
one of the things that happened this last year, I stepped down from the AV director position at church, which means that now I'm actually able to sit and listen to the sermons, and participate. And so I have been coming up with, like, I've been trying to figure out how to adequately manage note taking. And for work, it's building databases for tracking all my sales and all this kind of stuff. Notion has been the answer for all of it. So they've got some great features. Notion is so feature rich if you dig in. And so a lot of the studies that we do at church, so we got a Sunday school class that I attend, that everything that we have is available online for all the study notes, and they're all in PDF form. And Notion has I can't remember if they said it's an alpha feature or a beta feature, but they're basically allowing you to take a PDF and import it into a Notion document. And it's the only thing that's weird is the formatting, but sometimes you get a couple lines that are flip flopped or something like that. So there's some editing that needs to be done, but it brings in everything into the document. So now you just got to clean it up a little bit, make it, style it to your liking. And it's all the notes that you want are there. And you just go through the notes and when you're sitting in class. This morning we do a Bible study where the the associate pastor has been sending me the slide decks for because he knows that I do everything digitally, where everyone else has got like a binder with papers in it. I'm so apt, so like not into that. But he's been sending me like the slide decks for the course that we're going through. And so I'm turning those into a PDF and then importing those into Notion. And it's pulling all the text, all the images, everything in there. So now I just have to go in and format it properly so that it makes sense. And then I'm copying and pasting scripture from Logos and putting that right in there, doing my exegetical study right in Notion, and I'm absolutely loving every minute of it. It's working out so well. So for work, I built a database of every single sale that I've made with the um like categorizing, what brand did I sell? Is it a used car? Uh all the commissions that I made, the spiffs that I made off of each of the vehicles, if there was a spiff, any other information that I have, and now I can go in and see that data in different forms. So I can make a pie chart. I can set up charts. I can make a line chart. Showing different things, and I've set all that stuff up. So now I have like a dashboard that shows me where am I at for the month, how does this month rank against the other months that I've worked there. So I have a line graph showing me like peaks and valleys
Nice.
as to what months have been good, what months haven't. And I'd show that to one of the other guys at work, and he's like, "Holy crap, how did you do that?" And so I'm kind of showing me, he's like, "Yeah, I couldn't do that." but but Notion makes it so easy. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, once you learn how to manipulate everything. it makes it simple enough that like a guy that me that doesn't have a ton of that kind of experience can do it so easily and so quickly. And I'm loving every minute of learning um how to get all this information into Notion. And then, of course, on top of that, then you have the AI component to Notion where you can query all of your documents. So you literally can go in and you're basically building your own LLM. Is you can go in and query your entire all of your files, your entire workspace, and it will pull up information that you have in there. And so it's super cool. So I've been doing everything in Notion so that I can or at least have everything represented in Notion so that I at some point can go through and like, well, man, we learned something about this not long ago. Let me ask the AI Notion AI and see what it comes up with. And so it's been so much fun to learn all the little ins and outs and then to have like a nicely formatted document showing all the information that I learned in that class or in that Bible study or even the sermons. And you can put audio in. So I do all the podcast audio for uh the sermons. So I've been throwing the audio in with the sermons. So right at the top, there's a little audio link so I can start the audio if I want. And then all the notes that I took while I was sitting in the sermon. So if I want to go back and review that stuff, I can go back and re-listen to the sermon and follow my notes, add notes if I wish, that sort of stuff. And they have a live transcription as well in in Notion now, where you can just hit, Command O and it will just start listening and transcribing everything that's being said. So I don't use that a lot, but that's a feature that's in there. Sometimes I've used it in a sermon or two, where he's quoting somebody and making comments about a quote, and then I have that information in with my study notes. So
Nice. Yeah, it's well, and I just well, let me try and say that again. Notion has a lot more features now than the last time I messed with it. Like a lot more. Like Notion Mail is a thing. The AI is in there. Like they. It seems like they are continually adding features at not like a ridiculous pace, but like at a pace that feels sustainable from like a work perspective, but also like updates that are uh improvements to the experience in the platform and not just spamming new things for the sake of new features. So
mhm.
well, I'm glad you found your thing, man. For
Yeah,
that's a
I'm so
pretty
deep
clever
in Notion.
application of it too to track your work stuff. That's
Mhm.
smart move, dude. Not that I'm
Yeah, it's a little
surprised
bit.
that.
Yeah, it's a little bit like putting together a spreadsheet, but you can do more with it. So,
Yeah, and you don't have to stare at Microsoft Excel, which that's a bonus.
hmm for sure.
Very good.
Cool. So I should tell you that I made a couple of changes to my workflow and some stuff that I um apps that I'm using.
There he is.
So for my task manager,
Oh
I'm
God.
back on I'm take a guess what I'm using.
You were using Todoist, weren't you?
Most recently, trying to remember if I was using Todoist or if I was using something else. Um I'm gonna say yes, but I feel like I was using something else after Todoist. But maybe I came back to Todoist after using like good tasks or something like that.
Are you using Remember the Milk?
I'm back on OmniFocus.
I knew you were gonna say that. It's so
Yeah.
expensive, Mitch.
Well, I bought a license, so it's not costing me per month. It was an upgrade license because I own the last version, so I think I paid $75 for it. And so I own that as long as I want, and I don't have to update if I don't want to.
But that's
And
just,
it
is that license cover all your devices, or you have to pay per device?
Nope, that's all the devices. Yeah, they've
Oh,
changed
okay.
that structure a little bit more now. But it is so customizable, which is what kind of drew me back. If I want it to look like Todoist, it can look like Todoist. Like if I, although I don't think it has a Kanban boards, but didn't really use those that heavily anyway. But if I want to, if I, whatever stuff I want on the little dock at the bottom on the iPhone, I can put in there whatever I want, whatever perspectives that I want to put in there, I can put in there. I created it today. I've created a couple other ones that I've kept in there, and it works really well for the way that I work. So if I want to change it, I can change it around. I can add stuff. I can take stuff away. It's just the customizability of it. Just works for the way that my brain works. So I'm uh I'm happy to be back. I've been not back on OmniFocus for quite a while, actually. I haven't said anything, but
Were you afraid of the judgment? So I
a
do
little
like
bit.
in the forecast mode, the calendar is right next to your town. Freaking
Mhm.
Mitch, why did you tell? We have a problem. You know this, right? We have a
Hmm.
disease and it's called
Yeah.
to-do listitis. Like
Yep.
it just
It's like the
cuz
grass is always greener.
no, but like here's the deal. Like I've tried, like I looked at Todoist a while ago. I looked at reminders again because I like the reminders integration with calendar. I like that you can geotag your reminders in reminders, but it's just the only way to get tasks into it is to use remind me faster. Otherwise it takes ages to get something in. Um and I feel like it's a bit ridiculous that a third party app is like the only efficient way to use it. So that was like a non-starter for me. Um, and things, I'm just so used to the way things works, and it's just so pleasant to look at. But like,
Hmm.
it doesn't integrate with the calendar like Reminders does. It has your calendar events in things like at the top of like today. It'll have your calendar events, but like, and it doesn't do Kanban, which is not the end of the world, but that is a nice feature to have for certain things like projects. You know what I mean? Or for like, articles or podcasts, to be able to be like, okay, this episode is to be recorded. This one has been recorded, but it's not yet, like just to have your whole content
Hmm.
flow. And I'm doing more stuff on YouTube now. And so that would be really convenient to have that for my YouTube videos and the articles that I'm writing that accompany them. BrennanMedia.co, folks, check them out. Brennan Media on YouTube as well. We're starting a thing there. It's gonna be fun. Um, so crap. I'm gonna because things just isn't like for that sort of work flow and like a content calendar for articles and videos. Like I'm having to use tags or you can use like different headers, but it's just I don't know. For my personal stuff, things is fan freaking tastic. Love it to death. Have
Hmm.
I've been a things user. I've gone and come back to things multiple times. I've gone out and tried, rode all the other bicycles and came back to, the one that I love. But I'm considering what's that? Your phone? Yes, I see
That's
it.
that's OmniFocus on my phone.
Yeah.
It's clean, looks pretty. And it's just the dock icons that I have at the bottom here.
Hmm.
Um, it, the only two that were created, I don't want to hold it too close because then you're going to see how pathetic I am. Um, but the inbox is on one side, the other side is the forecast tab, and the
Hmm.
two in the middle I created. So there's a today one, and there's a actually the today one's here, and then there's one for our prayer list. So I keep those on here, and like I've it's so much easier to use, and it's once you know how to use it. I mean, obviously there's some complexity to it if you don't know how to use it, but the perspectives just make it worth it. So
So I'm seeing there's a pro license and a standard license. What's the difference?
features.
But you just got this. Did you get the standard or did you get the pro?
Hmm, good question. I don't remember. See if there's a way to look it up there. Oh, there's got to be a settings. There it is. I did get the pro license.
Okay, that's $150
Yeah, and see
if
that because I
if you're
upgraded.
not upgrading, right?
Yeah, the upgrade pricing is half off. So
Oh man.
I think you might not get perspectives with the standard license.
That's what I was thinking. Anyways, so the reason I'm even entertaining this is because I'm trying to figure out what the best tool for my video and article content creation is, because it's not things.
Hmm.
Um, like I don't think I'll ever not use things for like my personal stuff. Take out the trash, buy this thing for my daughter. Pay this bill, yada. My grocery list. All that sort of stuff. But when it comes to taking something from ideation through recording, through editing, through posting, through all of that sort of stuff, I need something that's a little more uh, project friendly. And I know that OmniFocus is an option there, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just use reminders and suffer because it's free. We'll see. Anyways, all right. So you're back on.
Well, there's always Trello.
Yeah, there is, isn't there?
I don't know that I was making that suggestion seriously. So there is another app that you and I go round and round on different kinds of apps in this area.
Yeah.
And there's a particular podcast that finally pissed me off enough to walk away from it. And the um and
Or you're
the
talking podcast players.
one of the hosts, yes, and one of the hosts makes a podcast player that I was using, and I was like,
Oh no.
I'm not supporting this guy anymore. So I am back on Pocket Casts,
Pocket
and
Cast
I'm
is
not.
good.
It's a good, and it's actually you can do a lot of it without having to pay for the app. So
Nice.
so I'm on the free version of it. Actually, to be honest with you, I think I paid for a month, but I'm going to be going to the free version of it because really, I don't need folders for anything. I've pared down a ton of my podcast listening. I don't listen to very many podcasts, and I don't listen to that many tech podcasts anymore. I'm pretty much down to Upgrade and Connected now. And I've got MacBreak Weekly in there too, but that's kind of one of those that if I don't have time, I don't listen to it. But I've added some Christian podcasts to it just because I need a little bit more of that in my life right now. So I'm listening to there's a Pastor Scholar podcast that's really good. I've really been enjoying that. I just listened to their episode on the Millennial Kingdom, and they had an episode on hell that they didn't do too long ago that I listened to, and they remind me a little bit of Connected, but um about the Bible. And
Okay.
one of them's a teacher at one of the colleges by them. One of them's the pastor of the church, and the other one's kind of the facilitator, or the you can call him the moderator in a sense, but it's not that like mechanical, but you can kind of tell he's the one that tends to ask the questions and kind of keep the conversation flowing, while the other two guys are the experts, and they don't always agree, and they all know each other, so they all have fun together
Mm-hmm.
doing the podcast. So that's a fun podcast to listen to. um I'm a on again off again fan of William Lane Craig. I've talked about a couple of his books on the show.
Yeah.
And I listened to his Reasonable Faith podcast. Um, you have to be discerning with this stuff because I don't necessarily agree with all his doctrinal stuff. And he came out with a book not long ago about the historical Adam that is no bueno. Like I can't follow him down that road. Um, I've listened to some of his defenses of his belief in this area, and it's just I for reasons I'm not going to get into on the show today. I can't go with. what he's positing with his belief in the historical Adam. So I tried.
Fair.
I tried to take what he was saying and understand, but he essentially says that Adam is one of the classifications of Neanderthal that we're looking at in the past, and I just can't get with that. So, but anyway, without opening that can of worms, maybe it's a good time to wrap things up here. What
Sounds
podcast
good.
player are you using yet?
Uh, so for a lot of my like theological ones, I'm still using Snipped so that I can sync it to Obsidian, which is
Oh, I
great.
forgot about Snipped.
Yeah. And then I've been messing around with Pocket Casts and the other podcast player that shall not be named, apparently, that
Gotcha.
you just quit. Uh, for I've been going back and forth between those two for like my like McElroy Brothers or Connected, which I started listening to again after like a 10-month hiatus. Just kind of testing out the free features to see if one of them's going to stick or not, or if I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
keep everything in Snipped. So
I should go back and try Snipped again because um that might be a little bit more of the way I'm starting to listen to more podcasts now. So it
mhm.
might be worth it. So
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting into more like Christianity podcast or theological one, then you're going to want to take notes on it. I highly recommend it.
yeah, cool. No, I don't have much else to say today.
All right. Well, farewell.
So um we usually wrap the show up telling you where you can find us. So if you've stuck with us this long, mitchcraig.online. Cam, I know you're at cambrennan.co, but we mentioned a new website, or maybe it's not new, but you're doing a bunch of cool stuff on it.
Yeah, so
Um,
it's cambrennan.com is just like my blog and random stuff. But yeah, brennanmedia.co is where all of the action's happening for me right now. I've got a couple YouTube videos, a couple YouTube shorts up, and then I've got articles for the videos that have the video embedded, but also have if you'd rather read as opposed to watch. And it's just instruction. The stuff that I have up right now is all instructional stuff on mobile photography. And we're going to get into mobile videography. And the reason I started there is because everyone's got a phone in their pocket that's got pretty decent cameras in it. And so I thought it would be nice to put some educational stuff out there to help folks take better photos and videos with, I mean, I'm focusing on iPhone because that's what I have, but pretty much every principle is going to translate to an Android phone as well. So if you're wanting to learn more about that sort of stuff, that'd be cool if you check it out.
all right, cool. Wanted to give you an opportunity to pitch that because I
I
know that's something
appreciate it.
that you're working hard on. I've seen some videos on Instagram, so um, haven't watched all of them, but I've seen a few of them.
It's all
So,
good. The video I'm making this week is the my two favorite third-party camera apps available for iPhone. So if you're ready to get past just the native camera app on your iPhone and you want to try some pro features that give you more control over your photos and videos, you're going to want to check the next video out because I'm going to show you two really awesome apps that will help you do that.
so was one of them Spark?
I will talk about Spark in the video one. So I'm gonna make one video that's just about third-party photography apps, and then in a couple weeks I'll do
Oh,
one that's
about
about
video.
video. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, this one will just be photography, but I'm gonna do a whole series on video as well. And so yeah, Spark will be
Mm-hmm.
one of the ones that I include on the third-party video apps.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of reason to use Spark, but I do when I've used it, I have liked it. So,
It's fun. It serves a
mm-hmm.
purpose.
All right. Well, let's wrap her up for this week. We'll see you guys back here, hopefully in a couple of weeks here. Provided one of us is we're both healthy. It's the other reason we didn't get back here last week. So, all right, we'll see you later, man.
Adios.
I need a better button for